Ready, boys?
Yep.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Celtic Unrestricted View podcast. My name is Ryan Clifford and joining me in this episode is JP, and Sam's back on for this episode. This episode is really, again, currently no football once again this week to really talk about, but a lot of transfers, rumours, signings and a lot of other stuff we can talk about with Celtic. Every day is a new day with Celtic. So JP, as I say, rumours, there's Welsh, Japanese guys are signed. There's a lot of rumours about outgoings and ingoings. But how's things, mate? And glad to have you back on, mate.
Hi, cheers, mate. Good evening, lads. How are we doing? Hope you're all well. Yeah, very positive. Finally, we managed to. I think we were all worried for a moment or two when we were going to see Rio Hatate. So it was finally unveiled on Saturday. That was good to see. Obviously, Celtic must have been hiding that phase because there was certainly no snow when there was any footies, when any footies were getting shot. So there was no bad weather up in Lennoxtown. So we knew that must have been a photo shoot that happened previous to the snow. But that's what Celtic do is. They leave us hanging. But yeah, positive. These rumours, obviously, big talks at Stallion boy Riley McGree. Seemingly, it's, according to a few sources, it's right along the way at the advanced stages of it. Some sources are saying 2 million, some are saying just under 3 million. That'll remain. We just need to wait and see what happens there. But then obviously Welsh, Udinese, I think it was in Italy, who came in and they've already had a bid rejected from Celtic. I think they tried to take him permanently. Celtic were only wanting to do a loan deal. And then you've got big Uragidi as well. I think there's about 4 or 5 teams chasing him. Again, they all tried to sign him permanently. Celtic are only wanting to do a loan deal. Obviously, must see the boy, his future lying in the green and white. Who else have we got? We've got big Shaw. He's went on to Motherwell. That'll be good for the boy. I think that'll be a good experience, good team. Playing at a decent level. Playing under a manager who's turned things round. They were away down, England shouldn't have been down in the bottom of the league when Graham Alexander took over, and he's done a fair job at Motherwell to turn some of their fortunes. And then obviously Ewan Henderson, moving on with Sean Maloney at Hibs. We know it's a loan deal, but obviously it's going to be a permanent deal come the summer. Sean's obviously worked with Ewan as well at pro youth level at Celtic when he was starting out, before he moved on with Martinez over to Belgium. But yeah, every as you said yourself, Ryan, every day's a new day. And there's lots of positivity coming out of the club now for the right reasons this time instead of the wrong.
Aye, Sam, as JP says, mate, glad to have you back on again, mate. Obviously, a lot of more positivity as well with Celtic these days. Take away, obviously, that we're in the league. When it comes to recruitment, it's going well. And obviously, your opinions of the Japanese guys finally getting over the line.
I know, first of all, cheers for having us back on. But I feel as I was saying this to JP just before we started, but I knew we were obviously going to get back into the Japanese league, but I like the speed in which the transfers are obviously coming, because obviously as the three of us can probably agree on, it's very rarely that we've ever had that in the last couple of years. So, but no, I'm happy that we finally got the middle of the line, and as obviously JP said as well, I thought we were going to send out an MIA for obviously Hatate, but we finally ended up getting these unveiling. But it's finally, for once, it's positivity and no negativity is coming with the club for once. And I feel as though there's maybe a couple of more positions, but whether we get them this window or further on, I don't know. But I think it's, me personally, it would be a mixture of 1 or 2 maybe incoming now, in a case of offloading players that we maybe know to having a future to sort of free up the wage bill. And because I think obviously as well that we can agree the squad's becoming a wee bit bloated. But I'm more positive than negative for once.
Aye, I think the last few weeks have been up for odd result, and player recruitment's been decent, JP. As Sam says, the fact that we're getting guys in quickly is, for me, it's a big positive. And obviously the guy McGee today is rumoured again. It came out the blue. Even yesterday, there was nothing yesterday, and it's come out this morning. it's the Daily Mail's reporting it, which isn't really a Scottish paper, really. So, again, it's one of the ones this morning when you see it, you're like, it's just another pinch of salt. He's Australian. It's obviously going to be linked with Ange, and then you see it's Callum Pace had a few hours. So it seems to be, mate, as I've said in the group chat as well, that things seem to be developing quickly with no leaks, which is, for me, it shows you the club's kind of tighten that again in a way, as a club again, because last year everything was going to team sheets, fucking fan rallies, transfers in and out, players aren't happy. This time the players aren't telling you if they're not happy. They're just they're doing it on the park. Transfers are happening quickly. And just come out and give you small updates about it. Nothing major, but he's saying I might sign him or I might sign players, and he's keeping his cards close to his chest, I would say. But I think maybe if McGee comes in, you might maybe get another defender or something. I think then that might be us. Personally, that's just for what I'm reading and maybe what I think. But I think for me, the outgoings might be, as Sam says, JP, maybe the main thing now for the rest of the window. But again, how many people do you sell? Obviously, if McGee comes in, I think it makes Sorrell really supplements to the squad. I think he will be maybe a loan, or he might be sold, or he could just be in the youth and no playing. But I think he might be the pecking order downwards. You've still got McCarthy there, who I think is still a talented player. Just need to get a run of games under his belt. Obviously, Shaw, Henderson, they're away at loan. And obviously, right back, again, he's maybe on loan. So I think, again, I'll start on Welsh. Obviously, massive. I don't know what you think it, JP, but for me, if I was him, it's a massive, massive decision to make if it was true that they did come back in from, because fair enough, you're a massive club at Celtic. Most of the time, if you leave Celtic, unless you're a really fantastic player, you don't really have the best of careers upwards. You might stay at a championship level, or you might League One or whatever. You may have a solid career, but you might not get to the heights that maybe if you stayed at Celtic and won trophies. But on the other hand, you might play more than using easy, because if you've got Julian, Starfelt and Vickers, if Vickers does sign permanently, even for the next 6 months, he's going to be a backup for injuries. So does he go to loan and get 6 months experience and maybe playing week in, week out, can bat a better player in the summer? Or do you keep him because, let's be fair, our injuries have been terrible. But it's a massive opportunity for him to go to Italy and get experience, or do you stay in this team and build on your career here before you maybe go elsewhere?
It's a good point, mate. I actually think he's a Celtic lad now. And I think that having likes of McGregor and Forrest and some of the boys run about him, Ralston, Mikey Johnson, they all came through together. Ralston and Mikey did. Probably Adam Montgomery as well, maybe. They all probably started together as boys. Now they're all in the first team together. I think it'd be a big range for him just to, Ange is obviously trying to build something here. So I think it might be a big range for him to move at this stage of his career. But again, it could be a big gamble the other way, because sitting here saying the grass isn't green on the other side, he's going to go elsewhere. But he might regret that decision, because another move such as a move to Italy or a move to somewhere, somewhere a bit more exotic or a bit more different for what the Scottish game can offer him, that might not come around again. He could get, and get a bad injury. I hope that doesn't happen to the boy, but he could get and get a bad injury. And again, that proves his decision was wrong either way. So, it's a kind of, obviously Celtic were digging their heels because they rejected the first offer, whatever it may be. It was obviously undisclosed, but I think he's definitely showed that he's good enough to play for us, first and foremost, I think. I think he's done really well in all the games that he's played in. He's a bit naive and, he's still a bit to learn. He's a young lad, but I do think when we needed him, he stepped up. His goal against Betis was a great goal. So he has stepped up when we've needed him. And I think once you don't forget, Julian's just coming back after, what was that, about a 14-month injury? Year and a bit injury. So, has he got to be fully fit? Has he got to be ready to go? Is that why they've held him back? Because he's conditioning to get him up to scratch, to make sure he's ready to hit the ground. So I think a few decisions will need to be made, I think, before Welsh has decided where he's going. And obviously Ange will make that decision, and Ange will make the decision whatever he feels is going to be best for the club. If he does go, I think Ange, being the guy he is and what he showed so far, don't get any reason not to trust him. So he obviously would have a backup plan.
I think Sam, what JP says there, I think that any decision that we make signings wise, I think we've just got to trust Ange. My personal opinion on Welsh, Sam, would be that I'd like to keep him the fact that we're maybe a bit scarce centre back. Because if he leaves, you've got Beaton to come in, who I think never play there again unless it's an absolute, you're struggling like hell. I think your centre mid is his position, and he's absolutely flying there now. I know you've got maybe young Dane Murray come in and play the odd game, but again, he's not experienced enough to come in and play first team yet, in my opinion. So I think for maybe squad depth wise, I think we need to keep him because he's able to step in and
Excuse me.
We can trust him to come in and play any big game really, because he's not really done too bad. He's not really made horrendous mistakes, so he's consistent enough to come in and step in if Julian, Starfelt and Vickers can't play. So, but I don't know what you think, Sam, but for me, it's a massive opportunity for him. As JP says, financially as well, it could be a good opportunity for him because he might get more money in that way. Because I don't know facts and figures. I can't see him being on mega money at Celtic, maybe £5,000 a week or something, £7,000 a week maybe at Celtic. So if you go to Italy, you're probably going to treble your wages or double your wages. The thing with me, Sam, I said it when I think it was Torino, they try to go for Jozo. The thing with me is, Italian teams very rarely go and buy shite defenders. Let's be honest, you might get the flop, or you might get a guy who doesn't turn out to be who you want. But most of the time, Italy, know yourself for the Euros, Italy are phenomenal defensive-wise. These teams pride themselves on defensive assets. And if Udinese are all right, I know the team they were years ago, but they're still a decent Italian outfit, Sam. So you've got to think they must rate them as well. So Celtic and I would say Welsh, if it comes to fruition that there's a bid and offer and it might be decent terms or a decent offer, they've got a bit of a decision to make in what happens.
Definitely, as like you said, obviously with the lads who come through it, maybe I'm not saying that they're the sole reason they'll keep him there, but I reckon you can see it in the way he plays. He is a Celtic lad through and through, again, as JP said. But I would keep him obviously for the squad depth personally. And also I reckon it is, again, both of you have said, he's come in and done a job. Because what I'm not saying yours, but what people might forget is obviously he get thrusted in when we didn't have anybody else. And he's done no bad since he came in. So I would keep him, like I said, for squad depth if absolutely necessary for him to play, maybe in cup games or obviously as we know through injuries. But on the other side, it's obviously arguably a better league. And as you said as well, Ryan, it's maybe doubling or at most trebling the money that you maybe be on. So he maybe look at that and go, it's not the best team in Serie A, but it's a bit chance to play in a better league. If he doesn't go, I'm not going to be upset that he didn't go for whatever money we get him, because again, I really like him. I reckon if he's still young, obviously, but he's younger than me, Christ. But he's plays his heart and his sleeve every game. He gives it his all, and that's something that obviously I would like to see anyway through a player that plays for Celtic.
I agree with you, mate, that I think he gives everything to the cause. I think the last bit on Welsh, I just think that if he was to go, I think he would go for the right reasons. I don't think he seems a silly boy. I think he seems that he's got a decent unit about him. Obviously, it genuinely surprised me if some of these young guys who were leaving even phoned Scott Brown up for a bit of advice, because I think that the type of guy Scott Brown would be. Because as a leader, I think he would maybe help these young guys on their couple of careers. But I think for me, if I was Welsh, I'd be leaning and gone, if I'm being honest with you, if I was for my own ambitions. Because if you go to look at the squad right now, she was for a 6-month loan. If I was Welsh, I would do it. But in a way, you've got to say to yourself, if I stay at Celtic, I've got a big chance of winning the treble. Let's be fair. you're still close to the league. You're in a Scottish Cup. You've won a competition. I've always said trophies is a massive thing in football. It was a massive thing for myself when I played. But game time at his age, he needs game time. And he can't play in the B team. So if he's not playing every week in the first team, he'll be sitting in his Todd. So it's a massive opportunity for him either way to stay at Celtic, which is, let's be fair, arguably one of the biggest clubs in the world nationwide. But to go and play games, I think maybe from a service point of view, I think you would. If I was Welsh, I think I would go. If it's a 6-month loan deal, I would go. If it was to go permanently, I think I would leave it. But if it's for 6 months to get game time, I think personally for his own development, I think he would maybe go. But then he might feel that if he stays at Celtic, he might develop better under Ange. So again, it's a pure catch-22. It's a massive decision. I'm saying maybe I would go, but I'm not in that situation. I'm just going for maybe if I was offered a chance to play abroad at any level, I'd have loved it personally. So I don't know what your opinion on the last bit about Welsh, mate, but I think it's a massive opportunity from either way.
I think it is myself, mate. I think it's certainly well turned his head, especially if it's concrete. It might just be paper talk. We don't know. We've only saw it on social media there the last few days. We've seen it again today that he's, there's talks of him coming back in with another bid from him. So they must be, maybe they are serious, and we'll see how serious they are. But it depends on, you've got a guy who's just left a team for Scotland. 10 million plus 6 add-ons. So taking it to 16 million. He's only played 2 games of football this year for his club. And he took up his normal position yesterday with his new team. It just spent the money on him for a guy who used to play with us and John Joe Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe sometimes the grass isn't green on the other side. Maybe sometimes you don't, maybe it's no about leaving, and because he might go there and no play.
Mm-hmm.
It all come down to his negotiations, and is it? Am I going to get game time? You bringing me into with the youth? Where the youth like see me? You bringing me into because I've played X amount of games for Celtic. Am I going to get that here? Am I going to be a bit part player? Because if no, I'm staying with my pals.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I would be thinking. Because all his mates are here. So why would you want to gear that up if you're not going to go and get game time? So I think that's vital. I think that's important for him. And if that's no a gimme when he gets here, it's something that's guaranteed. And I think that right away will put him off. I think what might put him off as well is the fact that the manager, Ange, because you said yourself, mate, he's, the whole team's developing under a guy who, in my opinion, he's done an elite job in the time he's been here. For what he inherited to now, it's absolutely night and day. Not to mention, we've won a cup.
Mm-hmm.
He came through a patch the way we have. We've been slaughtered with injury. We have key player after key player after key player. Still, away, results against hard teams. Can up with Perth and winning 3-1 isn't easy, mate. Not easy for a lot of teams. And certain other teams would have struggled. And, and you had X amount of players out with COVID. You had X amount of injuries. That's a hard... and we're looking at the squad and a lot of young boys are on the bench. We're going, squad isn't that big. Sam just says that a minute ago, now the squad's dead bloated. All of a sudden he's brought in a couple of signings and positions are starting to expand and expand and expand. So, overall, for Welsh, it's going to be about game time. I think that's where his thoughts would be. It certainly would be for me. I don't know about anybody else.
I think what JP says there, Sam, I totally agree with him, but I know Welsh might not be potentially a fucking £50 million centre-back, but he's played at Celtic's first team basically for the last 2 to 3 years in and out. He's won trophies, he's been a part of winning squads. If you didn't want him permanently, you've got to be asking for, I'm not saying a substantial fee or what Nathan Patterson went for, but by rights he should be, because he's played more games than him. He's played at Scottish international level. youth level anyway. I'm sure he's captain Scotland, as you know, JP.
He's a captain in Scotland under 21.
Right, so again, if he's going to be gone permanently, you should be asking for maybe 3-4 million at least. You've got to be asking for money, not just £1 million. So I don't know what you think of that, Sam, but I think definitely Celtic, if they are going to sell him, they need to be asking for a substantial fee of some sort, because you can't let a guy go in this current market for basically now to nothing.
I totally agree. I, as you say, I wouldn't say like a substantial amount, but sorry, excuse me. I'd say about at least 5 or 6, at least. That's not even just obviously been biased towards Celtic, but because he's played at least 40 games for us over the course of the time, or at least since he's come into the first team. And as you say, he's won trophies. He's played well. It's not as if he's played absolutely rubbish, because obviously, as you know, price or party price is based on form as well, form, potential, etc. So I don't think it should be a pure Diddy price if he does go. And again, I'd say you're talking about at least 5 million, maybe 6 at a push.
I think that's the market these days, as you know, Sam. Players on the worth the market they go for. There's absolutely in a million years Nathan Patterson no worth that money. But Everton are buying on potential. I can, as much as I don't rate the guy, but the other side, having your right, he's your captain, he's just won the league. Realistically, he should be the one going for £16 million, and he's no. And I don't think they'll get anything for them. There was rumours about Barisic that's gone for so much money. But I think our players, when it comes to us, you need to be asking for silly money sometimes, because down south and these foreign teams might actually pay it. Because maybe £4 million to you Udinese is nothing. Again, I'm only quoting this the same as you, because that's what I would like to say you should be asking, because why it's set, as you say, Diddy prices now. We've done it in the past. I still say that we get absolutely robbed with a mask selling Tierney for £25 million. Absolutely robbed. I would honestly rather have kept it for another year. And obviously, you've got to sell players when the iron's hot. I've always said it. As much as you don't want to lose your players, at the end of the day, fans need to realise we're a business. Yes, we're a club and fans want to see the best players. We want to keep the best players. But if you're going to offer good money at a time for a player, we really need to sell them, because you might never get it again. I think last year proved it. We didn't sell Christie, Aya and Edward, and we still got a big fee for them, but it'd have probably been double that if we sold them last year. But obviously we're going for a 10. But for me, Tierney, I just generally believe Tierney's one of the best left backs in the world. I think he's Scotland's best left back. I think he's better than Andy Robertson. Not just saying because I'm a Celtic fan. I just think he's at everything. But that's no doubt. Robertson is world class as well. But I just think on that, Sam, I do think they need to be asking for more money. So I agree with you, mate. And obviously, I know, Sam, Sean Henderson have left. Start on Henderson. For me, I don't want to say it's a massive mistake, but I just feel like we're signing this guy McGee, right? For £2.5 million. Could we not have kept Henderson and just played him and nurtured him and developed him? I'm trying to be balanced here, because I've not seen this guy McGee but just looking at his stats and his YouTube today, seemed a very, very good player, technically very good, and he'll fit into Celtic system because he knows Ange as well. But if you're going to spend £2.5 million on a player who's quite young by all accounts, it's not be better maybe keep Henderson and developing and maybe playing him. I'm trying to think of the both sides here, because obviously he's about on loan, and I think he'll permanently, it's a loan, be permanent. I think he'll thrive at Hibs. I think Hibs is a good club to go to, because Maloney, I'm not saying Hibs will be pushing for any sort of title, but I think they'll be pushing for Europe every season with Maloney. I think he's very, very highly regarded, because there was obviously talk about him, rumours about getting to sell it, Joe. Again, how big a rumours that was, we don't know. It was just paper talk. But obviously Martinez has him in higher regard, so I think there's only one way that boy's gone, Hibs, Henderson, and that's he's going to get up. I think the more he plays, I think more people will look at him. I just think he'll do well at Hibs, mate.
I totally, because as you say, it's a good club to go to. They're wanting to, I'm not saying they haven't been before, but obviously under Maloney now, they're wanting to establish themselves as a concrete top 4 team. and they're wanting to be like I get the feeling he's wanting to be a mixture of youth and experience.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with Henderson coming in is the same way his brother done. Obviously being at Hibs, I think, as you say, the only way it can go is up. I think Maloney, again, as you say, is highly regarded. He wouldn't have got the job at the number one country in the assistant job at the number one country in the world if he wasn't. And obviously, so Martin has seen something in him. I know he only get limited game time at Celtic, but he was a decent, for what I've seen anyway, he was a decent player. And as JP said earlier, there's under Ange, the possibilities are endless to what he could have achieved. So again, like I can see the both sides, like obviously signing this McGree, but at the same time save money and try and nurture one of your raw potential players and see where they can go.
Aye, JP, I don't know what fans think about because obviously we gave McCarthy a 4-year deal. I do think McCarthy's still got a lot of talent there. He's only 31, 30, so he's no anywhere near the end of his career. I just think maybe, I'm not saying next year for him, but another 6 months for this year, I think under Ange, I think he'll be a bit better. I think he has an option for us to play. But the last 2 or 3 games he's played, he's been playing well. I think St Johnstone he plays really well. He does keep the ball simple, but he does try the diagonals. They sometimes fail. It happens to a lot of players. But he sees ideas, he's trying things, which I don't mind personally as a fan. I don't mind people trying things. I'd rather you tried it and didn't try it. Henderson, again, I think he'll do well there, mate. But on the flip side, he's a decent young player. He could become even a very, very good player. I would have rather have kept him and let Soro go and kept him. Again, I'm only thinking from a selfish point of view as a Celtic fan. I'd have rather kept him in the wings to come in and play because he's a talent. You've seen it against Betis. He's a talented boy. And I'd rather have him playing than I would Soro. Again, last year, Soro looked decent. But again, we were a poor team last year. So I think you've got to look at both sides. They did come in and play well, but now the standards raised in the squad and you can see that he's not up to the standard, which is fair enough. Players come in, they try and they can't do it. But I think, mate, Henderson, for me, I'm stuck on if it was good to let him go or no. I think for the boys' personal development, I think it was good because he might play every week with Hibs. He might get maybe a better move, like Sam says, maybe like Henderson, his brother, Liam, to maybe abroad, and he might follow his footsteps and do that as well. So, but I think maybe it might be one we've let go, maybe. I don't know. I think the boy's tidy, so I think Hibs will maybe get a wee bargain there as well, mate.
I take your point, mate. Me personally, I think we've done okay, and I think again it's all down to trust in Ange. But I think the boy Henderson, Manning played a couple of games here and there for Ange. Scored against Betis as well. But there must be something happening for the boy that isn't happening, if that makes sense. Because Turnbull, Rogic, McGregor, they're all ahead of him, mate, in terms of quality. Mm-hmm. With Turnbull being injured, all my thoughts as to why he's went away and signing this boy, if it's true and this is going to happen, he's went away and signed McGree. Mm-hmm. Turnbull's injury must be a bit longer term than first thought. And he knows, obviously, the squad's going to be depleted again should these Japanese and Australia's World Cup qualifiers all go ahead and the players on to travel. There's 5-year first-team squad going to be done straight away, potentially. So McGree makes sense to me in terms of Ange knows what he's all about, and he's probably, I don't want to be too harsh on the young Scottish lad, but I do think he's going to be ahead of Henderson in terms of where Henderson... It's like we spoke about previously, Jota and Mikey Johnson. Light years of difference. Mm-hmm. And I think that's key. I'm not saying Henderson's a bad player, and maybe it is going to take Henderson to go try and do it somewhere else first. Because in the Celtic team right now, I think he's, anytime he's played, Brian, he's been nowhere near ready to come in and go, right, I'm cementing this is mine. The same with Mikey Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it be his decision making, he's too lightweight, he's just not developed enough. I don't know what it is. He's another one I've not been able to put my finger on. He showed up well in games, I think, the games he's played in. But I'm trying to look at from Ange's perspective. Ange needs quality, the new, not in a year or two's time. I think what we're looking at now, guys, is this is key as well. Ange is bringing in ready-made quality. Guys who are coming into the team, the new, to make a difference. No guys that are going to have to sit and develop there the next 5-6 months, maybe even more, before they're getting a game. Do you know what I mean? They're coming in to do the job, the new. And that's what we need. We need people because our squad was totally depleted in the summer. 12 in the summer, and Ange was saying that's not enough. So, again, it's all down to, I think you've got to trust him. If he's happy to let him go, and it works for the player as well, because obviously he's worked with Sean. He knows how Sean works. For me, he's just never going to get in a Celtic team. There's just far too much quality in front of him. And I'm going to include the boy McGree on that as well, because I've seen footage of him, so I know how good he is. And he's certainly better than Henderson. I'm not even talking about Soro, Ryan, because Soro's a different type of player for all the players I've mentioned. That's probably why Soro's days are numbered, because you've now got Gucci and Beaton, who sort of play in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you've maybe got a bit of depth in there now. So Soro's probably one you could move on. And we're talking about moving him on because you're freeing up wages, and then we can maybe hopefully get permanent signings in with Carter Vickers and Jota. But again, get back to Henderson. Whether it's right or whether it's wrong, it's right now, if that makes sense, in my opinion, because there's just too much quality in front of him. He's just never going to get in the team. And I don't want to be disrespectful to Hibs and say he's going to walk into your team, because Hibs have got good players in their team, and Orabo Newell's a top player as well. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he's had his fitness issues there the last couple of years. He's there or thereabouts for them as well. He's a good player. He can thread a ball through the iron middle. But I think it'll make a big difference to somebody like Hibs. I think that will be more suited for the boy than now. Whether he develops, as you say, and maybe moves out to Italy beside his brother, or maybe goes somewhere else, out to Germany or France or anywhere else, that's up to the boy now. But I think he's made the right move for himself in terms of his development, because he knows himself. The boy can't be silly. He must know himself. There's just far too much quality in front of him at Celtic.
I think that's the thing, mate, that I agree with you. I think midfield now, I think we're fine midfield-wise now. I think if this guy does sign, I can't see signing in the midfield unless Jota signs permanently. And obviously, on the talk about signing guys or freeing up wages, there's obviously talk about Martin Boyle. Rumours about Martin Boyle. They've not went away the last week or two. Some fans are saying sign him and he'll do well in the SPL. Think about if he's doing well at Hibs, we better put at Celtic. What would they do? And blah blah blah. Me personally, if the rumours are it's £3 million or whatever it is, I don't know what you think, Sam. But me personally, I would rather keep £3 million to add towards either signing Jota permanently or Vickers than I would sign Martin Boyle personally. I think for me, obviously, for me, Jota's the main guy I think we need to sign. I think he's for quality wise, I don't know if he'll sign a better quality winger for the price. I really don't. Obviously, I'd need to do a bit more scouting myself on stats and stuff for other players, but for what I've seen in the first issue, an option is €6.5 million, €7 million, whatever it is. That's an absolute steal, in my opinion, Sam. If we can get him for that price, again, it's all about if he. It's already us saying we've got first dibs. He might say no. He might think I've developed here. I want to play Benfica. We don't know, but if he's happy here and Celtic are going to buy the money, I genuinely believe I'd rather add the £3 million towards that than I would sign Boyle, because how long is Boy going to be Celtic for? I don't think he'd be a starter, personally. He's doing well at Hibs, that's 100%. He's done well with Australia as well, but I think we need better quality, as JP says. I think we need to sign quality players now. I know we need squad players, I totally get that, but like we have in the past with Soro, Kamara, Bio, we've spent a good bit of dough in squad players who came in and haven't played. I know people say he's a international for Australia, which is fair enough, but I'm sure Bio's played at international level, Kamara's played at Polish level with 21s. So it's not like they've come in out of the blue. If it was to sign for maybe £1 million, fair enough. I add to the squad, and when he plays, I think he might be a decent signing, but no for the £3 million quote, Sam, personally.
No, I totally agree with you. Like, I'm not going to lie. At first, I don't still to this point think he wouldn't be a good signing, but as you say, I'd rather put the £3 million to a mere worthwhile cause, i.e. Jota or Carter Vickers, because I says to my granddad that I personally believe Jota would be a better bargain at £6.5 million than Edward would for 9 when we bought him, and he turned around and laughed at me. But I still believe that to this day.
I says that, mate. I says that. I think I said that on our podcast, JP. I think I said that I know. But at the time, Edward for £9 million, I was thinking, we've not seen much of him here. But then obviously, he proved £9 million was a bargain. But we've seen Jota for day one. He's no put a fit man for day one. At the start, he was a bit slow at tracking back. But for what I've seen now, that's in his game now. Obviously, Ange's got that in his game because he's helping if it's Taylor or Scales, whoever's playing left back. He's, for me, I really rate Jota. I'm not trying to fall in love with the guy yet because, as I say, he's a lone player. But if we get him for that money, within 2 years, 100% say that we'll at least double it, at least, or treble it. The guy's phenomenal. And I think if we did get him for Benfica, I think Benfica will be smart and they'll maybe add a 15%, 20% sell-on clause. If Celtic accept that, they'll want a sell-on clause because Benfica have put him on loan for a reason, because they want to see how he is. If they didn't rate him, they'd have sold him. So, and it's not like, I don't know what you think it is, Sam, but I personally feel, see down south with Chelsea, right? If Chelsea rate you as a young player, they normally send you to either a Premier League team or a top Championship club. Done it with Gallagher, they put him out to Palace. Mason Mount went to Derby, and look at Mason Mount, he's playing every week basically with Chelsea. I think Tuchel basically says Gallagher will go back to Chelsea next year because he's playing well with Palace. But if you go on loan to like League 2 or League 1, are you going to play with Chelsea? Probably no. Like Musonda came to us, didn't happen with him. Again, I think they maybe folk come to Celtic and he might have played, but I think he got injured when he came here. Leg injuries and he didn't play. So he's went to Belgium and played in other teams, Spain, and it didn't work out. But Benfica have sent him to here to play. Jota wasn't coming here to sit on the bench. Not a chance. And I believe that, I think I said in the group chat and all, they might have not spent 30 million in these players, right? But think of the wages that Vickers is on at Spurs. Probably at least 20 grand a week, at least 25 a week. Jota's probably on at 15, 20 grand a week at Benfica. And I don't know if we're paying all that. So you're probably paying a loan fee for two of them. You're paying their wages. So the board have, as much as we've gave the board a massive bit of drip recently, right? I think the fans need to give the board a bit of pat in the back. As much as we don't agree with Mackay leaving or how the manager got here in the first place, it's done. We need to focus on the new, and I think the board need a lot of praise because they've signed the Jota and they've signed these Japanese guys basically blind. In my opinion, they've signed them blind. They've done it on Angie's trust and Angie's thoughts. So for me, I agree with Sam, and I think your granddad will. I think he'll be laughing at you maybe in 6 months' time saying you told me so, because I think Jota's brilliant, mate, and I agree with you.
Aye, totally. What you were saying about falling in love with loan players, I'm the same, because I was like, well, you know, said, but I'm already doing that rabbit hole with Jota. I'm happy to be doing there, to be fair, because as you say, he was a wee bit slow at first when he came in, but the minute he get bedded into the team and obviously get used to it, and he's been absolutely flying. And I don't doubt that when he comes back, it won't be like that. But if you take the fact he's injury, if that doesn't happen, who knows what he can went on to do. But I'd obviously come back to the original point. I reckon, again, Martin Boyle's a decent player. I'm not going to lie, see, when the rumours obviously first came out, I thought, I get him signed up. But now when I thought about it, I'm like, as you say, I'd rather put the money towards a player, i.e. Jota, preferably. But if we're trying to get him for talking sakes and it's Carter Vickers, I'd take him as well because I reckon he's been absolutely outstanding.
I think for me, JP, it's not the fact that I don't want to sign Boyle, it's the price. I don't think you're going to get... See, the way I think as well now, I think the fans need to realise as well, as I said, we're a business, so if we send Boyle for £3 million, are you going to get that back? I don't know. Are you going to get £4 million back if you sign Boyle? Is he going to play enough games to, if you sell him, to get that money back? Probably no, because he's not going to be playing every week. It's either going to be, for me, it's going to be Abada, Forrest or Jota. Or, how do you say his name? Hatate. So it's going to be, again, I'm no Japanese fluent, so I'm just trying my best. It's going to be, for me, it's going to be out of A4. And obviously, Mikey Johnson, who earns, but it seems that he rates in some capacity because he's been playing him. So, is he going to play, are they guys? I don't know. I'm only talking about for value-wise, JP. I don't think value-wise it's a signing that would entertain the Celtic board, personally.
I get your point there. I think the whole Boyle thing, me personally, I think it's just an easy link because Aaron's used to manage Australia and he plays with Australia, and I think the media have just drummed up interest off the top of their heads. And what they're trying to do is get it competitively going now by saying, there's a team in Abu Dhabi want to offer him big money. Well, no, let him go to Abu Dhabi then. Personally, if you're being serious and it was true that Celtic were chasing Martin Boyle, I can understand why. Maybe Ange doesn't want Forrest breaking down on us again. So again, we need cover because if something happens to Abada, because we were slaughtered there for the first 6 months, don't forget, guys, with injury. So if something happens to Forrest, he's down the other side this next 6 months. Understand where Ange is looking. And I think Boyle's the type of player. I also don't think it would be that price as well. I think that, again, media,
Heights.
Inflate everything. Yeah. I think it's been inflated with the media and try to just get a bit of scaremongering going, a bit of, let's sell a couple of stories, let's see if we can make a few quid on a Martin Boyle story. But personally, I don't think it would be $3 million. I think there would be some sort of negotiational tactic with Celtic there. And Celtic are made daft, and neither is Ange. So, in terms of whether he would play every week, probably no. I see it because he plays the same style as Ange. He would fit into Ange's style like a glove, and he would improve with better players when about him. It's only obvious. Five guys and they're good players. They bring you on, they make you a better player on that night. It's just it becomes when you do things with better people, better yourself. Well, certain people do. There's only a small percentage of people that probably don't. But I think overall, I think it's kind of media drummed. I don't really see. Personally, listen, I've had my hands up. The next couple of pods, if this week something happens and it's concrete and he's nearly there, or he's standing outside Lennoxtown with a scarf and his jersey up. But if it's concrete, then fair enough. I don't think he'll play every week, no. I think he'll be coming in as a squad player. Again, that's going to make a big decision for him because on the Hibs team, he plays every single week. The team might want to stay with Maloney to see if he can develop his game again under a coach who has worked with Roberto Martinez at Belgium. Or would he be interested in coming and playing Ange ball, as we like to call it? and playing a different style for what he's maybe playing now with Hibs. Because even me, Maloney, I don't see Hibs the same style as us. I just don't see it right now. They've not got the manpower to try it. Porteous isn't suited to that style of football straight away, and I don't think the big boy, is it Hanlon?
Oh, Hanlon.
The two of them run like they're towing a caravan, so it's not as if they're just not suited to that. Then you need a bit of speed if you're going to play that type of football, and you need to be quickly in the mind. This is a liability. No, he's quick in the mind the other way, sort of like, he sees red every time, and he'll maybe play 2 good games for you, and he goes and does something. So for me, he's a liability. So to play that style of football the way we play, I don't think they've got the manpower to do that. But that's not to say they'll not develop under me Maloney, and I hope they do. Boyle, Ange's style of football, I think he would get better. I think it would suit him, and I think he would fit into it like a glove. And by the way, he's got speed and abundance. So again, he's not going to hamper us in any sort of. Most players playing me, absolutely. But I don't think I would be too much against it. Again, overall, but I do think a lot of it's media drum, mate. I think the media are just banging the drum again for that one.
I think as well, again, I don't know if some fans might not let us realise the media do that. The media phone managers up and they phone players up and they phone people up and say, aye, he's interested. And it's just a lot of transfers are paper talk, and it's trying to unite other clubs and other players. And it's just, they do it for a reason, to get headlines and basically to get a fire burning, and it's to alert teams. I don't know if it's. I think it is mainly because he's Australian and Ange knows him, and they're trying to put 2 and 2 together and hoping that a deal happens. But again, most of the time these days, there's no fuel without fire. Normally in the media now, if something's with Celtic, it's roughly some sort of in the process or it's rumoured. But obviously, Sam, as well, there might be a few outgoings. Again, a few more outgoings. Obviously, there's talking about Sorrow, Bolingoli, Ayeti, Barkas, maybe in the main 4. If I've missed anybody else, you can let me know. But I think they're the main 4 that worth money-wise, maybe. For me, I'll go through them. For me, Barkas, I know we've gave him a boost, right? But part of me wants to keep him because he's an experienced goalkeeper. He's played Champions League. He's played at international level. I don't know if this last season was just an absolute scrub for him. It was just an absolute no-go. I just don't believe that he's that shite. I know you can only judge guys on what you see. And last year you can say he was shite. But again, JP, we've heard rumours for that, obviously transcript, that he's been injured, and that can heighten your performance. There's no doubt in that. And the fact that he played him against St Johnstone, he could have played Hazard, he could have played Mullen, but he played Barkas. I know he's a third choice, but I'd rather keep Barkas. I know for money-wise, fans might say for money-wise and wages-wise, get him short. But from my opinion, we need 3 decent goalkeepers. If you sell him, are you going to put Hazard up to the third choice, or are you going to buy another goalkeeper? Because you can't have 2 goalkeepers, you've got to have 3. I know it's hard to keep them all happy, but we all know Joe Hart's a shoe-in. So you've got 2 goalkeepers fighting for the second choice. And fans might say, Ryan, you're full of shite, or you've not got a clue what you're talking about. But I would rather keep Barkas and keep Scott Baines with number 2. That's just my personal opinion. I don't think Scott Baines is a Celtic number 2. He was the third choice to start halfway, and then he's into second. I don't think he's good enough to step in and play every week for us. I think the games that he's played, apart from the Rangers game when we won, he was superb. Apart from that, I've not really seen him play too well. His distribution is not the best. I know all goalkeepers make mistakes and flap. Joe Hart's made a few errors, but 9 times out of 10, Joe Hart's been very safe for us. Barkas, I know it was only St Johnstone, but he looked comfortable. He looked a lot better than what he's been. He was coming out for crosses, but he's never done. I know that's what a goalkeeper should be doing, and it's natural what he should be doing, but he didn't do that last year. When he was coming out, he looked scared. But against St Johnstone, he didn't look scared. He was coming out for confidence, coming out with his knee. He looked a different goalkeeper. I must admit, he's very good with the ball at his feet. He's very calm. Sometimes I don't like that because you think he's going to make a mistake like Joe Hart. But on Barkas, Sam, I personally, unless we're getting another goalkeeper to bring in, I would rather keep. I don't want to keep Bain because I don't think he's good enough. But if we're going to sign anybody else, I would just keep Freedom and just keep it like that, because if you're going to sell one of them, you need to bring somebody else in, because you can't have two goalkeepers unless he brings Hazard up, and I don't think Hazard, me personally, is going to make it at Celtic, because I've not seen anything that's going to give me confidence in Hazard either. Again, he's still young, so he can potentially prove me wrong, like Ralston's done with a lot of his. But I think to get to Joe Hart's level or whatever, I think Hazard's got a lot to catch up on.
I know, definitely. Podcast is one of the ones I think personally that you look at, and obviously last year it was abysmal. Is that even I could go worse than that.
Let's just be honest and get out there. It was fucking dog meat. It was dog meat, but there's something in me that's telling me there's somebody there. I don't know what it is. I don't know. For my own eyes, Sam, my eyes are telling me that he's been hopeless and doesn't deserve any more games at all. But in the day, you've got to have a goalkeeper as a backup. You've got to have three goalkeepers. Ideally, they've got to be quality. But I just believe that he wasn't signed. I know we signed like years ago. We signed like Raphael Schreiber for $5 million and whatever, and he was his namesake. But I know people are saying Barkas is his namesake. He's barking a shite, right? But for me, Sam, I'm willing to give Barkas time under Ange if Ange can get him, because we need somebody to. For me, we need somebody to challenge Joe Hart. We don't just need a number two to come in and train, collect his wages, and just be good in the squad and just come in when he can. You want somebody that's going to challenge Joe Hart, because what's the point having a top class goalkeeper and having two very average goalkeepers? See, like at Spurs. Spurs had Lloris. Who was the other guy? It was an Argentinian guy. What was his name?
Gazzaniga.
And you'd Hart. That's three good goalkeepers Spurs had, right? Chelsea they've got Kepa and Mendy. All these top teams have always got a second goalkeeper who's really good and can fight for that squad. Right now, on form, Barkas and Bain are not up to that yet. So, for me, I would rather just no deal. If Barkas is going to go, you've got to get a goalkeeper that can come in and challenge Joe Hart. You can't sell Barkas and then go and sign I don't know, like somebody for Hibs or something. You can't do that. You've got to sign quality. In my opinion, that's just what I think, Sam.
I don't disagree with you, mate. But I was going to say it's a tough one, because I agree with your point in saying obviously he's played in the Champions League and he's played against the likes of Bayern Munich and the best teams in Europe. And some of the save story you look at and you go, how in the world does he pull that off? And again, obviously last year he was sort of a major staple for us. And he obviously rightfully earned it, because it was, as you say, he was ranking dog meat. But it's just the wee things he does. And again, don't be wrong, the St Johnstone game was decent. 100%, I don't disagree with that. And I was going to say, just for you made your point there, the Michelin game, when he came out and obviously came up to the ball and the ball looked at him, that's just common sense. You just leave the ball. And I can tell in your face you're getting feeling about it. But even that, and I get it was obviously early into Ange's reign. I totally get that. And even the pre-season game at West Ham, again, get it was early on. But that's the same goalkeeping coach. I'm not blaming Stevie Woods, right? I'm not. But it's the same people he's worked with last year compared to this year. So you can't even say it's a change in personnel. But I don't know. I want to give him a chance, because it's obviously £4.5 million in the brain if we just punt him out the now. But how long do you give him? That's the thing I boil it down to.
I agree with you, mate. JP, the only reason I'm saying keep him is because who else do you obviously Ange's obviously got a process of who's going to sign, but I asked for this other day when there's obviously rumours about him going and whatever. See if Ange had obviously at the time he didn't have Joe Hart to come in and play in the Champions League, right? But see if he really wanted to sell Barkas and didn't rate him at all, I'd like to think he'd be away already. I don't know if that's just I don't know if I'm thinking wrong here. Because if Celtic didn't really want him, they can just release him. Just pay him up and release him. If they really don't want him. But again, it's money. I know he probably want a good bit of wages because of what he signed for. I agree with that he's come in and failed. Right? He's come in and failed, so by rights, he deserves to get punted, JP. He deserves it because he's no deserved to be here. But if he does get sold, you've got to sign somebody that's decent quality to come in and challenge Joe Hart. I think the main point is I'm getting across is if you bring somebody else in, they've got to challenge Joe Hart. They can't just come in and sit and be happy, sit on the bench and go, oh, you know what, I'm getting my £10 a week, whatever. I might play the World Cup game. I might play if he's injured. You want a guy who's going to come in. Are you going to get the same quality? I don't know. Right? I don't know. I'm just saying we need to sign somebody that's going to challenge because when it looks at it, we're signing players to challenge every other position. You've got guys in midfield come in. You've got Maida come in. You've got Jackie Marcus here to challenge, obviously, Kyogo. You've got Jota, Michael Johnson, Forrest. You've got guys at wide defence. You've got Vickers, Julian, Starfelt, Welsh. Obviously, you've got Scales, Taylor, Ball and Golly. Still competition. Ralston, Juranovic. So you're covered in every position, quality-wise, apart from goalkeeping. So do you bring somebody in to come in and challenge Joe Hart? If you sell Barkas, what do you do?
I get that point, mate. I personally think goalkeeping is, again, this is just my thoughts. I think the goalkeeping area is at least the Ange's worries at the moment. I don't think Barkas will go, personally. I think if he was going to go, I reckon it would be Gallon Pace at a rapid rate now. Mm-hmm. Again, media have just assumed because he's not playing, again, he's got to be one of the mans at the door. I personally think he's better than Bain. So the two goalkeepers, although the two of them aren't good enough to be the Celtic number one as yet. What you take for that, I don't know. Joe Hart's light years ahead of both of them. Young boy Hazard, he's had a loan spell or two away from the club. So this young boy's the up-and-coming goalie, that's Oyewayemi, the boy they brought in for Spurs. He's supposed to be the next one. The boy Mullen played today for the B squad, put in a good performance, put a few great saves off, to be honest. So personally, I don't think it's a position Ange's he's given too much theory on the new. And I don't think Barkas will be, as much as a lot of Celtic fans probably will not like to hear this, but I don't think Barkas will leave Celtic this window. Just that's, again, my personal thought. We're into the Europa Conference. So again, as you said, Ryan, you need 3 goalkeepers for him there. Like I say, we've talked about the transcript. Ange said in an interview about he's had a knee issue that it's taken a while to get over. Whether that's hindered him, I don't know. Obviously, if you're playing football at any stage, any sort of level, if you're playing with any sort of aches and pains, it's obviously going to hinder your performance. It does with anybody. To play at that level, any sort of malfunction in your body, I would imagine it's a lot worse than what it would be just going down the park and playing 5-a-side with your mates. Mm-hmm. So, if that is the case, then in the St Johnstone game was the first time I've seen him back since July, and he's been, according to Ange, he's been training really well. He's been there and showed up well in training. Good enough for his report to say, in the day against St Johnstone. Again, to me, that speaks volumes as well. As you said yourself, Ryan, he could have played anybody. So, as I say, it's in a game that he showed up really well in. The defence, he was coming for close balls, he was very vocal. His first touch was unbelievable. He was pinging balls out to the fullbacks. He was playing first-time passes in and out in midfield, and he kept it really ticking over at the back the way Ange wants to play. He probably is the best for the ball at his feet in terms of being able to play the way Ange wants to play with the 3 goalies. Joe Hart obviously can do it, but he stutters and starts now and again. That's probably my only criticism of Joe. He maybe takes too much time. But when it comes to goalkeeping ability, as in having to use your hands, and certainly Barkas and Bain have got a lot to improve on from what they've showed in a Celtic jersey. But again, I don't think that's going to be any worries. Well, a lot of worries for Celtic fans that paying their money to go and see the team if he's not away, because he's certainly not a fan's favourite on the comments that you see on social media. But I personally think that it's a position that's right now it wouldn't be altered.
And as I say, all right, boys, quick man tonight. There's a lot to talk about, so it's a Sunday. We'll keep going. Obviously, Sam, another guy who's quoted to maybe leaving again. It's all rumours or media driven, or it's just assumptions because he failed as a Yeti. I know he's injured, so well, I know you sell him after being injured. Teams might be put off with either form or his injury, because he's had a few injuries the last few months with niggles. I looked at obviously what Chris Sutton said today, and he did do well with Basel. Scored a lot of goals with Basel. Penalty box player, really good movement, holded the ball up, really quick a few yards. I was really excited when he actually signed through his Basel spell. Because him and Elanusi worked up well, and I thought, him and Elanusi together at Celtic, it's only a plus. I know he didn't really play at West Ham. Came up here. Some games, for me, he's a pure enigma. Some games he looks really good. Like Lille away from home, it was superb, holding the ball up. And then Betis, again, I thought he was really good against Betis. Against the game he got injured, the first half through, I thought he done okay. I think he is a pure penalty box player, but whether I know he's good enough to play with Celtic now, I don't know. I think the jury's out in most fans about him. Me personally, I would only sell him if we're going to sign another striker, because we need 4 strikers. I know we've got Giakoumakis, Kyogo and Maeda, so in him is 4. I know Abada can maybe play there, so you include Abada, it could be 5. For me, I would rather, obviously for the wage bill, I think he maybe needs shot, but are you going to get the money back from him? I would only sell him if you're going to get the money back from him, because if you're going to sell him for £1 million, what's the point? I'd rather keep him for 6 months in case, as JP says, injuries happen, because no luck, the last 2 months of the year we'll get injuries after injuries, we're trying to win the league. So I think for me, you need 4 strikers. Obviously, you want 4 quality strikers, but I still believe Giakoumakis is quality, and I think he will prove to be a good signing, especially for European nights when we need something different, or we go to Livingston to hold the ball up and bring guys into play. And I think, as JP says, I think he's looking for rotation, because Kyogo, for me, won't play every game because he runs his fucking arse off, and I don't think you can play 2-3 games a week, playing 90 minutes, run your arse off all the time, because it will take its toll, especially with the injuries he's had, and he's not actually played, had a rest, because he's played a full season and he's come in. Similar to these 3 guys that have signed, they've just played a full season. So this wee break might actually have a blessing in disguise to get them back into nurtured, recovery, relaxation, and then come in and play and they'll be refreshed. So on a Yeti, Sam, I personally, as much as I think fans would rather get shot them for the wages, I'd rather keep them and just have 4 strikers, because I think you can come in and do some sort of job if it is against St Mirren or your Bros or whatever in the cups or whatever. I think he can come in and do a job at least as a squad player. If you sell him, then you need to sign somebody else, in my opinion, because you can't have 3 strikers with the way things are going. That's just what I think.
I know, I'm just going to say it for a coughing fit, but I like, again, it's like, I can't remember who we were just talking about. Barkas, that was it, sorry. I had a pure mind blank. Aye, no, but like, it was a similar situation. It's like one of the ones. Like, I can see, obviously, like the St Johnstone game with Barkas, like, Yeti said his glimpses are great moments. Like last year, I think we were away to Kilmarnock, no, maybe the year before, but it was great then. Like him and Edward had great link-up play. he was, obviously, as you say, he's a penalty box striker. He's not that type of Kyogo where he'll run his backside after 90 minutes. And partially has just been unlucky with injuries. But I'm like you, we need 4 strikers, and if we're only going to get $1 million, maybe 2.5 at most, then I'd say keep him, because we're not going to get anywhere near 5 million for him, not a shot.
No.
And I reckon it can play a small part. I was going to say play a bigger part than probably any us three or any other fans listening will probably think. But with the likes, obviously, Kyogo there, Yakimaki still to come back, and Maeda, I think Maeda will be a lightning signing, and that'll just push Ajeti back down the pecking order even further.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the price. Like I said, if it's going to be maybe 3 million, for example, then discuss it. But if it's any less than that, I'd say keep him, to be honest.
There's obviously, JP, you can obviously say this as well. Sell Ajeti and just move Moffat or Dawson up and just put him up and just develop him. You could do that, I know. Because for all accounts, for what I've seen for the boy Dawson, he actually looks physically more than Moffat. He actually looks, when he came on against St Johnstone, you wouldn't really think he was a youth player. He kind of slotted in okay. Similar to last year when we brought in Harpert and Okoflex. They looked a big difference and they looked a bit lost and they didn't look as physical enough to come in and play. But this boy looks a big boy. He didn't look nervous. It looked like he stepped in. So you could maybe put it into that perspective. Do you know what? I maybe sell him and move one of the youth boys up and give him a chance. But when you're going for a league, you're playing Scottish Cup, you're playing in the Conference League. You need, I would say, experienced players. And as much as fans might not agree with Ajeti, he might not best of players, he's experienced at a national level and he's played some big clubs. So I think he'd be a better option than the youth boys at the moment. I don't know what you think of the Ajeti situation, but it's a hard one for me, mate. Maybe to get him off the wage bill, but for me, you need to bring somebody else in because you can't have three strikers with the amount of games we play.
Well, I agree in terms of the quick turnaround of games that we've got. You certainly need to be able to rotate. And unfortunately, the new Kyogo's more or less had to play nearly every game. And as you say, he runs his backside off. So it's always a shift. And it's not surprising, he's pulled up with a hamstring injury. It was only going to be inevitable, the amount of running the boy does. In terms of Ajeti, again, Celtic fans are probably going to be like, what the hell are you talking about here? But I actually quite like him, to be honest. I don't think he's judged on because he doesn't score hundreds of goals. I think that's where that 5 million price tag's getting brandied about all the time. We paid 5 million from him. For a 5 million striker, you'd expect him to do more. Nah, you probably would. You've got to remember, see when he started, I think he scored something like 6 goals in his first 5 games. Then he got injured. Mm-hmm. And then it sort of last season, the season just went the way it did for all different reasons, as we know. I'm not even want to start talking about that again, to be honest. But any time I've seen Ajeti play, the only thing that's maybe let him down is his decision making at times. So, in terms of thought process, like Jota and Kyogo, and they're a bit sharper that way. But one thing I will say about him, last season to now, he have trimmed down in his physique and kind of put on a wee bit more muscle. He's a lot more chiselled looking than what he was last season. Last season I thought he was carrying a wee bit of excess. But this season he certainly looks like a different type of guy in terms of his physique. Again, I think Ange he's commented a couple of times about Ajeti being a really good trainer. He's one of the ones that he's a worker. He does everything he's asked to do, but judge him on what we're all seeing, and he gave us enough. He probably hasn't over a piece, and I can understand why fans are saying we need to get rid of him, we need to do that. But in terms of the boy Dawson, man, you're right, mate. He's a big physical boy. For a boy who's playing at that age, I watched him today. and he scored a good goal today, but he also other qualities to his game today. Playing, I mean, some of the younger lads, they're bouncing off him. And he's kind of walking through a cup, 2, 3 of them at a time because of his size and his physique. And now when he came on against St Johnstone, I thought he put in a good shift. He can shift as well for a big lad. Into that flight. But again, you've just signed a guy as well. We've not mentioned him yet. We've just signed a guy on a 5-year contract. We brought him in, Johnny Kenny for Sligo Rovers. So there's another centre forward. So again, see something in this boy to have gave him a 5-year deal to say, right, you come in and work with us. And again, there's got to be a pathway to the first team. He's also covered his backside there in terms of he's went and bought Maeda, he's got Jackie Marcus back fit. You know, he needs the quality of the new. We've not got that kind of time. Right now, we're not the champions of the country. We all know ourselves, guys. That's not going to sit too well us as the fans if that was to happen again this season. So I think it's, you know, quality is needed right now in order to try and help us with the, as you said a minute or two ago, Ryan, with the quick turnaround of games that we play. And that's what happens when you play with a top team, mate. You're playing every third, fourth day.
I think with the boy Kenny off the sign, the only reason I was not going to mention right is because I think you've all just got to B team. That's what we are led to believe. But what we don't know is maybe they're going to say, oh yeah, and this boy's going to be the fourth choice striker. We don't know. Because he's coming for all accounts, a lot of Irish footballers, and I actually seen Jonathan Walters was praising him highly. So these guys are saying he's going to go into bigger things. Again, like Scales just came in and he's played all right. I was a bit no critical to sign their Scales. I was just like, sign a boy for League of Ireland, no really good, no really the best of standards. Why are we signing a guy like that? But again, he's come in, done okay. And I think if Scales played left back, I wouldn't be too bothered. Being honest,
I think as well, I know that, and talk about the League of Ireland, mate, just quickly, just because you said that, and I think as well, you've got to look at boy McGrath at St Mirren as well, because he looks a decent player as well. So, again, maybe we don't see the start. Again, it might be like a Japan League. We don't really get to see the standard every week, but there might be that one or two, you know, standouts. And so far, Scales has been signed with Celtic. The boy McGrath's at St Mirren, and this boy, as you say, there's loads of pundits, Irish pundits. I think Robbie Keane have messaged him to wish him all the best. They see the boy as something as well, and talented. And the Republic of Ireland, by the way, under the boy Kenny, they have improved. The results have improved. The young boys that are coming through are improving. So maybe their football is only up.
I think it is only up, mate. Definitely. Obviously, there's talk about the guy we've got. Obviously, currently Jonathan Afolabi. There's rumours about him going on loan. I don't think he's going to cut it with the seams yet. Again, we're going to give a chance, but obviously 2 or 3 managers come in and will played him, so it kind of tells you that he might be going away on loan somewhere or sold. But obviously on the boy Kenny, I think for me, all skills I was going to say there, I would honestly, I don't know why. Again, it's no the fact that I've got a fan again Taylor. I just think Scales is better than Greg Taylor for what I've seen. I think Scales gives you more going forward. He gets the ball in the box. Taylor's good defensively, I would say. He's maybe defensively sounder than Scales, but going forward, I think Scales gives us more. And again, if you're Bolingoli sitting there on the bench, probably getting decent wages, he's in one game he's not seen for 7 weeks. He's in on the bench. His situation, I think he'll be sold. I don't think I want to talk about him because I think we all know that he's going to be out the picture.
So he's getting part-time number better though.
Aye. I think Sorrell, again, we've kind of spoke about him. I think he'll be out the door. If it's no January, I think he'll be out in the summer. Obviously, Ange doesn't really fancy him. Again, obviously, on the B team, Sam, as JP says, give us all today. There's some talented players in that squad. Fata, Dawson, Summers, Wiley, these guys are all up and coming. I think it's it's a good time, I think, for the youths. I think the thing as well, I was working today, so I didn't see the game, but I looked back at a few bits and bobs I seen Twitter and stats, and going through their ages, there was a few young boys in the squad, really young boys actually. Boys who have not really played much. There was some experienced boys at that level, like your Mullins and Battis, who had played a few games. What I like is we've spoken about JP for, well, even I've spoken about it for years now. We need to play the same formation all through the youths, all through the first team. And at the time, it was the development squad for the under 10s or whatever it is. If it's under 10s Celtic, I don't know. For under 10s to the first team, we need to have the same philosophy, in my opinion. So under 10s, if we're playing a 4-3-3, then it's got to be 4-3-3 all the way up. If I want to, for me, play the Celtic way, get up through the divisions and through the leagues and through whatever the youth levels, I think we need to implement the same style of play. I know when you go to teams like Barcelona, they just want you to play a style of play. They don't really care about winning at early age. It's all about you need to play this way of playing. I think I would rather, for me, obviously every game you want to win. Doesn't matter what level you want to win. But if we can play a similar type of play and a style all the way through the youths, I think it's only going to benefit us, Sam, to the first team, because we noticed last year, Oko, Fletch and Harper came in, and I know it was a shite team that we were in last year, but they didn't look that they looked lost. They looked like youth players, but the boy Dawson and Moffat have come in and no really look lost. So maybe the youth players are getting better. Maybe it's under better coaching. Is it a better regime with Ange? It just looks like the boys they're getting maybe a chance to maybe under Ange, or they're maybe as promise of getting a more chance for this new system. It is obviously the pyramid system, and Ange is maybe getting them more game time.
I know, I definitely agree, but as you said earlier, it's a promising time, whether it be the first team, obviously the B team. The B team, I'm not saying obviously we've been like a terrible B team, but I think now you're looking at the B team and again it's becoming more promising, and you're again, I'm not saying people aren't normally excited, but you're looking at it and you're getting very excited now. Looking at the like, say, obviously Moffat, who's now been with the first team for a couple of weeks now, Dawson, who had his chance against St Johnstone. Obviously, you hear talks of Vata, Wiley. One I would like to see come up, but maybe not the now, but obviously whatever's happened to him. Big Lawal, the boy we signed for Ireland, because he looks like a big physical boy that you just look at and you're terrified to go up against him.
Is that the boy that brought up for Watford, Sam?
Aye. I
think he's not been about that B squad for a wee while, so I think he might be injured now, mate.
All right, I didn't hear him, so that's why I was like,
no, because he's not been in that. I've been looking for him as well, mate, because I know what you're saying there in terms of the physicalness, and he's a big monster looking at a boy, man, and he's not been part of that B squad now. That's in the last 7, 8 first team their team fixtures. He's not been part of it, so he must be. I think he must be injured.
He came up obviously whenever, like it was last year, maybe I can't remember. And he pretty much walked into that team and get captaincy. So it's obviously as you say, they come up to Watford and like maybe not straight away, but within the first couple of games they probably seen Son and went, aye, we'll give you the captaincy. But obviously, like going on to what you were saying about playing the same philosophy and doing obviously like the first team to B team, etc., etc. I would agree with that, because then if you look at like say Wiley, Dawson, if they end up winning Lawal up or whatever, then they're suited to the first team. You don't need time to bed them in to then maybe 3, 6, 9 months down the line to see how they're going or to take them to that point. So I definitely agree with that, and I can see that now. I'm like I'm not gonna lie, I don't watch the B team games. I keep an eye on the results though, and then I look at obviously as you said earlier on the clips on Twitter, goals or whatever. But I'm sort of excitedly anxious at what this B team can do going forward, and obviously the players that we end up maybe bringing up.
I think as well, JP, the only reason I'm saying is we try and play the same way all the way through the levels is, again, people might tell me that you can't really compare it, but Ajax and Barcelona, Dortmund, all these guys, when their 17-year-olds or 16-year-olds come in to play the first team, they come in and play, and they can come in and whiz about, and like your Sancho's, I know they both Sancho, but he came in and he was phenomenal. There's youth boys at Pedri at Barcelona, 16, 17, 18, flying. I know it's a total different culture, total different coaching regime. These boys are much better equipped to come in and play. But I think if we play the same way as what Ange's trying to implement, I don't see any reason why these guys can't come in and play the bench, come on and play the last 20 minutes, or come in and make them up, because like we've seen with Dawson and Moffat, I know there's big rumours about the boy Vata. I think he's only 15, 16, the boy.
He never played the day.
There's big rumours about him being a shining light so far, and he might be the next crop to come in. But for what I've seen so far, Dawson and Moffat seem to be the two that are on the bench now game with us. Rob was talking about them playing. So it is, I think, overall, mate, I know we're 6 points behind the league, but I think overall, coming for the B team and the first team when it comes to performance-wise for the youths and recruitment, I think there's a lot to be happy about so far and a lot to be positive going forward. I'm really, coming to the first team, I'm excited by the forward way of thinking when it comes to forward-wise. You've got so many options and so much firepower. And I think Julian came back for defence, just makes it a bit more solid. As we said the other day, JP, we can go out a free to back now, no bother if Julian's fit. Starfelt, Julian Vickers. And it means if you can play Alison, Juranovic, and then it gives, as you says, it can free up maybe McGregor one game to sit on the bench if it's against a lesser team, or a game you can give him a rest or tumble arrest. You can free the guys up and play free to back. So, last bit of the pod, mate, I just genuinely believe that it's, for the first time in about a year and a half, I would say we're at a stage where we're not happy to be 6 points behind, but we're a lot more positive thinking. And I think as fans who do podcasts or sit in the pub and we talk or whatever group chats, we've not really got an ounce of negativity about us now. It's all positive thinking.
Aye, 100%, mate. I think what's key with the young boys, Brian, the younger lads, I think what Ange is, he's doing it perfectly. And this is probably the way Ajax operate as well. I don't doubt for 1 minute this is how they operate for a start. The younger boy, you're starting to see in training videos now. They release the training videos onto YouTube and stuff. Like Moffat, Dawson, Murray. Maybe the week later it'll be the young lad Ben Dokes was on the bench. That came right out of left field, right into St Johnstone. So these boys are getting to train with the first team, and I think that's key, right? Because for training with the B team and training with the first team is night and day. You need to be physically ready to come in as well. As you said, the boy Okoflex, the boy, what was that boy's name? Harper. They were miles away, miles off it. Easily knocked off the ball, no reading the play, no being up to speed with the play. Maybe McGregor knocking passes in and they're no there, and he's expecting, if he's doing that to Abada's on that. If he's doing it to Jota collects that, away he goes. For the other boys, it's not, they're just no sharp in the mind. But when you train with the first team, you become sharper, you become quicker, you become, your thinking changes. And the coaches and all that use terms, like scanning and planning, they call it. And you can see that boy Wiley, perfect example of that, mate. He's been a tight area and he's already scanning to see who's coming so quickly that he's carrying the ball in a half turn and he's turning away from people and he's planning. He knows where the ball's going. He's about 2-3 moves ahead of where it, and he was so intelligent today. They actually took him off at half time because he said he'd just come back for some sort of injury or whatever it was in the commentating. It was Jerry McCulloch that was doing the commentary, and it was him and the boy Otto. By the way, big centre back. He was a captain in the first half.
I think he's been on Otto. I'm sure he's been out loan once or twice, you know.
I think something's telling me Doncaster Rovers, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm sure he has been out in loan.
I think that was Robertson.
Was it Robertson? Aye, so it was. But here's another one that's shooting on the new and he's still to come back. So a decision will need to be made on a lot of these boys, mate, as well. Whether are they going to stay, they're going to get moved on. They're not going to keep every one of them.
And did Robertson not sign a new deal last year as well? I'm sure he's got a contract to 2023, Robertson. So he's got a year and a bit left.
Right, okay.
Wiley's, did he not get a new deal recently as well?
Wiley just signed a new deal with the club. I think he just signed a new 4-year deal with the club there. These are boys who they're making rapid progress. You know, they're coming on and they're showing signs that, like the big boy Dawson, they're too physical for the level. You know, they're spreading the right, just their overall play, their thought process, and that's probably down to training with the first team. And that, when you train me, I learned to play football. We get playing with guys older than me, and that's how you learn the game. You learn playing with guys at under your age. You learn playing above yourself. And if you're playing with guys who are better than you, quicker than you, sharper than you, then eventually you become that level. Get to that level eventually. And again, a small percentage won't. A small percentage. Some don't want to get to that level, right? Some just want to, you know, stay where they are and are happy. I'm happy. Like Gary Mackay-Steven.
Aye.
Just couldn't take his level to the next level that Brendan was looking for at the time. Armstrong did. Armstrong level. And that's why the two of them were separated. Because Mackay-Steven wasn't willing to take that extra yards. And there is some players, I'm not saying they're bad players, but they just can't, for whatever reason, they're not happy to put in, I don't know if it's putting in the work or maybe they just can't do it, grasp what they've been asked to do, I don't know. For whatever reason, they just can't move on that level. When you're starting as a young boy, like I said before, and we were on the other day, and I says, when you're a young boy, you're aspiring to be these guys. You want to be the next Callum McGregor or the next Edward or Kyogo and see young boys at 8, 9 and 10, right? They should be watching these guys.
Aye.
No, they should be thinking about how does he do that, what does he do to do that, and learning for there. And then, you know, and then training me that, you know, or maybe a year above himself. Or, because that would help you become more physical, it would help you become sharper in the mind, it would help you become a lot more technical. When you're playing with technical players, you get better.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least you should, anyway, as far as I'm concerned. But I think that there's a lot of promise. And regards to the mood from the club, to be 6 points behind and we're all still sitting here as if, you know, we've won all sorts of trophies and it's a mental situation to be in because the 6 points behind self-inflicted, by the way. That's not even something you could say we've been outplayed or, you know, because we've done it to ourselves. There's results in the season so far that have let us down, and that's why we're 6 points behind. Yeah, I think we're a better team overall, players-wise. Aye, I do. Although the league table doesn't show that. And I think in time that will prove my point. But I'm really chuffed and really happy. If you'd have said to me in the summer, I'd be sitting here now saying this. I thought you were off your head, to be honest. But to have won the first trophy up for grabs in the season, to be still on me, you know, second in the table, but we're still in contention, you know, with grasp of getting to first. We've signed some good players, and we're still looking to actively add to the squad, and we've got good prospects, youth development coming up. I don't know what's not to be positive about, mate.
I agree with you, mate. And obviously on the youth side, I agree with you when it comes to playing with better players, because I went through it myself, mate. Most of the time when I was growing up, I was always playing a year or two ahead of me. And then I was playing 21s. I'm doing to play amateur, and I learned more playing amateur than playing 21s because I was only 17 or something. I was playing with men. Do you know what I mean? And it gets you bulked up. And so I agree when these guys come in and they play in the first team, they're going to get better because they're playing with better players, stronger players, and they're going to get to know the game better by developing with these guys. And obviously as well, Sam, for me personally, as I'm with JP, I just believe everything's positive now. But the only way it's going to keep being positive is obviously we need to wait on the results. The speech for Sturgeon. If the football's going to be back, or if there's going to be fans and whatever else. The first game back, we need to be flying. We need to win. We need to beat Hibs if it obviously goes ahead. Which obviously by our accounts it is going to go ahead. Well, with fans or no. We need to come out and put a marker down. I'm not saying win the game 7-0. I'm just saying we need to come out and show that we're fully fit now, we're back, and we need to, for me, we need to win the game anyway, first and foremost. But it's the first time where Andrew's going to have just about his full squad back, where he can pick his team. By all accounts, we don't know if Jota's going to be back fit, we don't know, but Andrew's no said he's not going to be fit. So I think going forward, there's a lot to be more forward thinking of.
I totally agree. It's just, as you said earlier on, it's for the first time in like a year and a half, for example, we're getting to sit here and say this. And it was JP said earlier, if you had to sit and tell me or him or whoever that we'd be sitting here at this point, like I know we're only just halfway through the season. The thing about it is, obviously, as we all know, the Messi inherited to now. If we'd be to be sitting at this point, where again, as JP said, we're only 6 points behind, we're signing good players, and looking again to actively add to that, we would probably would have laughed at you first, but we would have then but your phone after it, because we would have probably all thought at the start of the season, like, oh, we maybe, I don't know, maybe be outway chasing the league, or probably still behind in schedule, adding to the squad. So I've got nothing but positive things to think and say going forward now, until, if it ever does happen, touch wood, that Son changes that.
Is that I'm generally one. I think I was one of the only. Well, I hope I wasn't, but I still couldn't believe that in the summer that there was people actually doubting that we would come back. I'm not saying we're back yet, but we've got a trophy. People were saying like, oh, next year's Rangers or whatever, Andrew's now going to come in. He's not good enough to come in and reshape the squad. And I'm going to lie, boys. See, when I seen the betting for the league, Celtic were 72. I was like, are you shitting me? 72. Even the new were 15-8. I'm like, as a betting man, that's fucking value. Are you joking? I know the bookies are not always right. The bookies are well, right, let's be fair, right? But even the new, Rangers are 4-11, right? We're only 6 points behind. How can, and if you Kevins, right, as I said to JP recently as well, I've got respect for Kevins because he's done the radio for so long, and he's obviously got some sort of knowledge to win a game that long, right? Let's be fair. But how you can come out and say that they won't lose a game, or they won't drop more points, or whatever else, it's disrespectful to everybody else in the league. You can't come out and say that. Celtic are signing guys like we've just signed. Who's to say that I generally believe if you get a full crowd, again, it's far-fetched, it's February, a lot of things can happen. If you've got 60,000 Celtic fans, you've got everybody fit, I can't see why we can't go beat Rangers comfortably. Why can you not? We've all won it, beat them in a few months or whatever, a few games. But it's negativity again that we've spoken about, JP. Do you know what? I'm just going to be honest. The media can be horrible fucking so-and-sos when it comes to putting pressure on people. And that's their job. It's headlines. That's what they want to do. They make headlines. And everything's negativity about Celtic. Even the new, we've won a cup, and where's the credit for Celtic winning the cup? Make credit about Swiverts. But they're 6 points in the lead. But is that... and what? But you've won a trophy. Give you a bit of credit. So for me, I think going forward, I think JP as well, the media need to give us a bit of credit for. I know they won't, but they need to give some credit for where we are, considering they basically says in the summer that Rangers are going to win the league with the same amount of points, which is not going to happen because we're not going to be that bad.
No, but there's certain media outlets and there's certain pundits, etc., and there's certain predictions being made that right now, if we were to think they were right, then Ange wasn't going to be here by this point.
By the way, it's past Christmas, mate, and he's still here.
Yep,
he's still here. Still here.
Exactly.
The cotton bomb's still here.
And you know, he was going to be well away, and he was an ex-Pedro Caixinha, and he was just because they didn't know who he was. us, we went and when we found out who he was and what he was going to be doing, is quite a lot of us, well, especially us, we went and done our homework, we knew, and we very quickly learned what it was all about. And right away we knew it was absolute nonsense that they were spouting.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at the guy's CV, up to the window like that, and you go, there's a CV, and right away, you know, he's no a novice. He's no as if he's never done this before. He knew the job that he was inheriting as well, and we've got that for day one with him. He just gets it, man. He understands what he's there to do, and I think he's brilliant with the media as well in terms of the, you know, the you can see it every week. They'll try to. Hearts 1-0. We outplayed them most of the game. Hearts didn't really have much threatening towards your goal, apart from a Barry Mackay scuff shot in the last 6 minutes of the game or something at Parkhead. The Morris headline guaranteed it'd be something like Celtic struggle Hearts by a possible offside goal. Nonsense.
But it won't be.
But yeah, when they go 2-0 down to Aberdeen,
it's Rangers grind out a draw. Rangers grind out a draw.
They never get Rangers grind out a draw. Oh, Rangers work ever so hard to come back to 2-0 down to draw. They got their complimentary in the game as well. We'll not mention that. But again, it's 1-0 for us, and it's 1-0 for us, and we for whatever reason, well, we all know the reasons, but we get held to different standards than others, and it's all you need to do is look, you know, in your eyes, and you can see it. You know what I mean? But as I say, I love it when we prove them wrong. Trophies. It ruins a lot of their days and time, and because I've got to see 40s of his Prading trophies, and see 40s of Ange stoning him with a trophy, and see 40s of McGregor stoning him with a trophy. His first trophy as a Celtic captain as well. Certainly won't be his last, certainly with the quality that we've now got in our squad. Talking about the Glasgow Derby that's on the horizon, I have no doubts. 5 or 50,000 in that stadium, we'll beat him. I don't have any doubts, because the squad itself have got, you know, the bit between their teeth, and I think it's like, right, last break, mate, I think it's going to be fit to the throttle. Let's go. And I think it's going to be, you know, the quality's been brought in to unlock defences, and the quality's been brought in, and tactics will be changed in certain games that he can now do that he wasn't able to do before. He's able to do it, and I think it's paramount now that we'll see a lot more. You maybe start to see more bigger scorelines, especially Celtic Park. 3, 4, 5, 6 teams are going to take doings off us with the quality we've got in us. Should they stay fit?
I hope so, mate. Again, it's a good way to end the Sunday View there, talking about obviously other things with the media. Again, I know people don't really like to mention it, but I like to mention it because I think it deserves to get looked at in another view. A Sunday View with me, JP and Sam. Again, get us on YouTube, Twitter, and we're on TikTok now and all. I've got some TikTok videos lined up for us, so we're brand new on TikTok and all. But again, guys, we subscribe to YouTube. It's free. Listen to us talking ramble rubbish for a wee while. But again, guys, hail, take care, and cheers, guys.
Hail, lads. Cheers.